let's park the halftime show for a minute. This is going to be no deal this week, is there?
No. Look, when we had this agreement for the Senate for a 2-week continuing resolution for Department of Homeland Security, we talked about it here. There was obviously a deal that you had in form in order to have such a tight timeline for action on the next appropriations bill. It takes 3 or 4 days for the Senate to do anything, and that is if you have agreement. And if there's disagreement, it takes longer. So I thought then that there was a deal that we did not yet see, but it's evident at the end of last week that there was no deal. Coming into this week, they would have to have an agreement within the next 48 hours in the Senate for some real deal to actually be passed into law in time to keep Department of Homeland Security open. That's not going to happen. It's apparent that that will not happen. So then the question is for the Democratic minority in the Senate, do they permit a continuing resolution to keep the Department of Homeland Security open, or do they have a shutdown?
Yes. And
I think that's where the politics shift. If you have a shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security, that would then advantage the administration and President Trump in what has been a pretty rocky month that they've had.
So CR is the answer then, eventually. And I guess the question becomes duration, and I can't get an answer from anybody. Do we do another 2 week or just say, all right, rip off the Band-Aid, full year, check back in 2027?
I think a full year is less likely because of the politics of the left and what the left is saying to the leaders of the Democratic Party. So then it's a question of to what end? If it's a shorter duration and there is no deal evident, why do that? Why extend the pain? Why keep bringing this issue up if you can't come up with some legislative win to advantage one party or the other? So we're all watching, and we're all going to watch in live time of what that number is. It'll be something odd. It's not going to be some number built off of science. But I think the best outcome for both sides would be a long-term continuing resolution for the Department of Homeland Security, and then fight it out on the campaign trail. I'm
hearing chatter that Democrats might be impressed by a deal that does not include their demands. Granted, body cams were already out there per order of Kristi Noem, but in fact a change at the top of the agency. We're giving you body cams and we're giving you Secretary Noem. Do we have a deal? Have you heard anything like that? Oh, that's a nice rumor, but I don't think President Trump is in that type of deal making. That is not. And if you've listened to his response, yes, he sent Holman in to take over the Minneapolis situation, which in traditional Washington parlance is the cabinet secretary getting demoted and some special operator coming in to fix the problem. It's clear that's what it was, but the president has not talked in those terms, and the politics haven't evolved in those terms. So I don't think the president is likely to sacrifice a cabinet secretary. And then that cabinet secretary would have to be filled. That goes through the whole nominating process, which would be a huge challenge to fill that secretary position. There's nothing else that Republicans can offer, right? No. And so this is a question of whether or not Democrats see the political advantage of continuing to continue the agency funding and then on the campaign trail to let this go, or do they insist on a shutdown, at which point they are potentially giving President Trump that upper hand when the Democrats are shutting down Homeland Security. Just the name of the agency is enough that you should see the bad politics of it. It's fascinating. I'm just looking down at the calendar here. It's 2 weeks from tomorrow, State of the Union. February 24th. Big night. Is that an inflection point in this debate? Do they need to get something done by then? Or does it advantage the president to say Democrats are holding up the Department of Homeland Security when he's in the Speaker's roster? And thus why a long-term continuing resolution is to the Democratic Party's favor. And President Trump will use that bully pulpit that every president has in the State of the Union to drive his message. That is the opportunity for the president, if nothing happens before then, to turn this debate on immigration back to his advantage. It has been a political winner for him since he came down that golden escalator a decade ago. Immigration has been his biggest winning political, I would say, not policy, but the biggest, boldest sort of statement of who he is built around immigration. He needs to get the advantage back. He's got to get the groove back, and in order to get on with the midterm elections and hopefully bring a little more support for Republicans that we're currently seeing in polls. Does Does Mike Johnson need to worry about decorum this year, or we assume that this is the octagon every year?
I think when Nancy Pelosi ripped up President Trump's speech,
that was it.
I think we've got full-blown no decorum in the House of Representatives.
Where were you in the chamber for your last State of the Union? Were you sitting like right in front of Marjorie Taylor Greene? I mean, what was it like to be in there with people
it's
yelling?
Like this.
Yeah, I bet.
Hide yourself.
I can't imagine.
Oh, I've seen everything. I've seen everything, and nothing would surprise me about the State of the Union. And now you see the progressive activists left when they're winning primaries, like in New Jersey, special election in New Jersey a couple weeks ago. You see the energy of the Democratic Party is in those progressive, loud, outspoken folks like Jasmine Crockett and the far left of the Democratic Party. So I think you're going to see some shenanigans here.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I don't doubt that at all. And I guess it's made for TV. We'll be there one way or the other. I'll be curious to hear how the president attacks this whole issue and exactly what the response will be. Did you watch Kid Rock last night?
So we can't even have one halftime show.
No, what do you make of it? But that was the microcosm last night, wasn't it? You saw the president's reaction. By the way, I'm sure all your friends at Mar-a-Lago were texting you, Bad Bunny's on the big screen. They had him on the big screen. It wasn't Kid Rock. We saw the videos last evening. What does that tell us about our politics and culture in the country, where actually Bad Bunny, you love him or hate him, didn't say anything about ICE, or it was actually a pretty inclusive message, and the president had that very critical post waiting the second he was done.
Well, so the halftime show, let's just go back in time.
Sure.
This has always been a standout performance from a standout global star, and even a special moment for whatever the biggest act on the planet is at that moment. I think we saw that last night with Bad Bunny. I think you saw the NFL seeking a new demographic here in the United States. You saw this emphasis from Bad Bunny about Americans. Right, the emphasis there. So there's a big statement there. But you also had a big statement by the president that this is a divided moment for America, and we need to think of it as a divided moment. So we'll see how the politics shake out on this. This is more representative of the divide than in creating the divide.
Sure.
And our politics have become far more tribal now than in generations.
Well, yeah, it's the definition of tribal, I guess, when you have several halftime shows to pick from. But if you're a congressman from North Carolina and you just saw this president elected with the help of young Latino men, and we've got a midterm election where we're going to keep driving here, are you worried that the politics have changed already in a year?
You look for omens, and the bad omens that Republicans saw last was a special election in Texas that swung 31 points against my party.
Yeah.
It is a message that you have to focus in on what the American people care about. And if you're listening to the American people, they do want safety in their communities. They do want criminals deported, criminal illegals deported. Yes, they want border security. Yes, but they don't want to see activists gunned down in the streets and watch it over and over on video. So this is a moment where the president needs to get back to immigration in the way that he was winning on in the last election, and he needs to get back to an economic message and delivering on an economic policy set on affordability. Sure. Those are the driving forces of turnout for the midterm.
We know he can get along with anybody. Mamdani in the Oval. Why doesn't he have Bad Bunny come to the Oval Office? We'll hang out for the day.
Next.
Wouldn't that be something? Play the tape back,
You heard it
James.
first.
You heard it first.